and welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. Ever we can remember our opening tagline. I'm here with my wonderful, lovely co-host, Christy Santiago.
You could have kept going. I'm okay with it.
I was going to keep going, but I'm just like, okay.
My head gets bigger and bigger with every word.
And we are also here with our lovely guest,
extraordinary
Scientist Mel.
Yay!
Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Our pleasure. Very excited to have your brains on our show.
Yes, we're all very, very excited. So, we have a couple things to talk about tonight. We have our main topic, which is basically trying to touch base on the Roundup issue.
Mm-hmm.
And we needed a scientist opinion, and luckily we have a wonderful, lovely scientist in our community that we could contact and who was willing to come on. So thank you so much, Mel, again.
I'm happy to be here. This is what I do, so I love it.
So yeah, you're just the right person for the job. And then I think we're gonna have another short conversation before we get into that on the Amazon rainforest. But again, before that even, I have like just a few things that I need to like just kind of shoot out there for everyone to like let you know either that it happened or that just let you know that we know things happened. We're not ignoring what's going on in the world. There's just too damn much going on. If you pay attention a little bit, you know there's too damn much going on. So I'm going to try to speed through just a couple things. And I'll speed through some faster than others. There. Okay. First thing that I wanted to mention last week, because it's completely insane, Donald Trump wants to buy Greenland.
Sorry.
I'm just...
Was it Greenland or was it Denmark? I can't remember anymore.
It's
Greenland. Okay.
It's Greenland.
Yeah, it's Greenland, and he's like, I think I have to go through Denmark. I don't think, like, yeah. Anyways.
He's bigly smart.
Yeah, big league. All right, so I have
the funniest thing that happened this week. I just wanted to let everyone know.
Oh my God.
That story had tears coming out of my eyes because it's so absurd.
Didn't the prime minister pretty much tell him to shove it?
What they had told him was, it's a good thing that the day of buying countries and people is over.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Had to be blunt. So the prime minister, and I don't know if I'm saying her first name right, Mette or Mette Frederiksen. She is the prime minister of Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
She said that a discussion about a potential sale of Greenland has been put forward. It has been rejected by Greenland Premier Kim Kielsen, who is the leader of his party, which I'm not even going to attempt to say because there's too many parts of that word that I can't pronounce. But Kim, he's a leader of his party there. Frederiksen said that they've rejected like the whole notion of it, and I fully stand behind that rejection.
I have a question though.
Yes. Yeah, go for it.
Did Donald Trump go, but Daddy, I want it now? And then all like Putin and say, but Daddy, it's Greenland. You know, like Veruca Salt. Did he pull a Veruca Salt?
Yeah, maybe he fell to his back and spun in a circle, stomping his arms and feet.
It's like, it's a golden goose.
He's about to have a tour visit of Europe, starting in September.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he is going to Denmark, but that is not like the main reason or anything like that. But when they spoke out and said that this is crazy, like we're glad the time of buying countries and people is over, and
it's absurd.
I quote, an absurd discussion said by the Prime Minister of Denmark. Trump tweeted this out.
Right.
Denmark is a very special country with incredible people, but based on Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen's comments that she would have no interest in discussing the purchase of Greenland, I will be postponing our meeting scheduled in 2 weeks for another time.
So I do declare that he did say, Daddy.
But I won't. But then I'm not coming.
Then I'm not coming.
I'm not coming for dinner.
I can't buy whatever I want. Then I'm not coming. Yeah. And he wanted to throw in an island, an American colony, essentially, as a trade and pay for
what, like Puerto Rico?
He just wakes up and goes,
why do you take Puerto Rico?
I'm going to go buy Greenland today.
Right. Yeah. And then he thought it was so funny to post a meme that people made out of silliness. It's just a picture of the quaint shore of Greenland. There's the beautiful red house, yellow house, blue, they have those bright, beautiful colors on the rocks, and a huge golden tower right in the middle of it. And he says, I promise I won't do this. He thinks it's fun. He thinks it's funny.
I wonder if he there's no way he can understand what reality is.
Right, because they said no.
He just...
And they won't even listen to it. They won't even... No. The adults are talking, and they said no.
So is he going to go around and start wrecking the factory like Veruca until he gets it? That's what I'm wondering. Is that going to happen?
Mad.
It's a good question.
It's just like, I want it now. I want to feast. I want to bean feast.
I love this. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So.
You're violent.
Stupidity didn't end there.
Okay.
Just 2 days ago, and I'm sorry, this is a different topic, but I decided to put this one next, so I didn't have to go Trump, something else, Trump.
Okay. Gotcha.
So there's another tweet, and I'm just going to read the tweet to you first. And then I'm going to say a little bit on it, and then I'm going to try to move past it because we could joke about this bullshit all night.
Right.
Just those two topics could just fuel a nice little drinking party amongst ourselves for
yes.
the next 2 hours.
We'd all throw up at the end.
Yeah. So President Donald Trump tweeted, no surprise, he quoted someone else patting him on the back. So this is just him feeling good about himself. All right, here we go. Thank you to Wayne Allen Root for the very nice words. Now quoting, President Trump is the greatest president for Jews and for Israel in the history of the world, not just America.
Wow.
He is the best president for Israel in the history of the world. Again. And the Jewish people in Israel love him.
Oh, God.
He's like he's the king of Israel.
Okay.
They love him.
No.
No? Do I need to stop there?
Just hold on a second.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I don't watch Fox because I want to learn something. I just want it.
I put myself through it.
Has to come out first. Okay. But I do like to switch around and just see what they're trying to, maybe I can, if it's a big enough story, go actually find real factual information and at least post it with that above it so people can see. Well, I'm just watching it, and there's the point where it's the blonde in the middle and the two guys. I can't remember their names. And you can see one is struggling so hard to say the words, American Jewish peoples vote at an extraordinarily high percentage for Democrats. They do, they have, they always have. It's always been that way. In 2016, it was 74%. And in 2018, midterms, it was even more than 74%. It was 78%. So that's a lot. Now, you can see their brains going, like, you can just, and for me, that I have such hope in people, I immediately think, oh, there's hope for him. There's hope for him, because he can't even get the words out because he wants to say something else, but the facts don't say that. So I just have to call bullshit with the whole Israel story, and I'm really sick of this whole evangelical movement to get them all there so they can bring on Armageddon. Yeah. But go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you.
I had to caveat the Fox with I don't watch it for information.
Okay.
You can learn things, but nothing you'd ever want to learn.
Right. And you have to unlearn it to learn it correctly if you learn from that.
The way I look at it, if you want to learn like good arguments against the right, you need to see what the right is saying. And too many people watch Fox, so you need to watch Fox, and that fucking sucks. But anyways, back to the King of the Jews.
Oh my gosh!
I love him like he is the second coming of God.
Mm-hmm.
But American Jews don't know him or like him.
Right.
They don't even know what they're doing or saying anymore. It makes no sense, but that's okay. If he keeps doing what he's doing, he's good for, and then there's another tweet. But I don't really need to go any further.
Right, yeah.
Again, Donald Trump promoted these tweets.
He thinks he's Jesus, man.
Yeah, actually, I think he said, I'm like Jesus.
Yes, well, according to Jesse Peterson, Beta, that guy, Trump's the great white hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, but it gives me an instant headache as well. Great white hope. Beta.
Great white dope.
Cracks me up. He's so stupid.
Wasn't that a lyric in a song by Tears for Fears, "Woman in Chains"?
Oh, wow.
And the Great White Hope says she's fine.
Yes,
but she's always. Oh God, she's not really fine. She's stuck in a loveless relationship with a man she calls the Great White Hope. Oh my God.
It's sad. It is sad though.
It's just horribly depressing. This is Yeah,
it's it really is. It's
yeah.
Well, Netanyahu just named that whole annexed, he steals land, kicks people off of it, and then names it after Trump. And loves it. Of course he loves it. I mean, that's what he's used to.
Netanyahu's super. Yeah, he's crazy in his own way. Like
he's crazy in all the ways that you could be crazy.
No wonder why those two leaders get along. So yeah, he said like a handful of things.
He says things often, and I'm just like, just stop talking.
Yeah. No more.
Yeah. But I felt like this one was perfect because 1, it's kind of funny. 2, it is kind of scary. 3, this is the perfect kind of thing we talk about here on LEAH, religion and politics. So double whammy, have to bring it up.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he likened himself to Jesus, which I think is kind of funny. Seeing that
I don't know, man. Jesus was totally against bankers. I like table flipping Jesus. Jesus went in like churches and he saw that there were people doing business and
no money changers. Did not
Yeah,
like
that's not okay. Table flipping Jesus is my favorite kind of Jesus. And I'm pretty certain Trump is not going to walk in anywhere and start flipping tables because they have money going on.
Yeah.
No, he might throw some paper towels at you, though.
Maybe. Maybe. He's really good at like toilet paper and people too.
Oh.
We're helping all the people from the hurricane. Here's some toilet paper. Go wipe yourself.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
So the last quote that I wanted to bring up from this part was that he said something to the extent of Jews or American Jews who vote Democrat are either basically stupid or they're disloyal to their people.
Oh my God.
Which is so divisive. And this is like what every country has done to like throw the Jews under the bus.
Well, Trump's administration, and it's not just him. This has been the GOP's, this has been what they've been trying to do for decades, is align the Jewish administration, country, Israel, and what they want to do, annex Palestinian lands, with Republican Party. If you are not, if you are for Jewish, you have to be Republican. Now, most people understand that that's just absurd, but a lot of people don't. As Mel knows, 27% of polled Americans think the sun revolves around this planet. When I told that out loud to my 21-year-old daughter before I even finished the sentence, I got a like.
We're getting dumber, and I think if we're gonna, I would respect Trump as Jesus as I would respect Cartman's authority. So
we're getting stupider.
Respect my authority.
No. I like him.
Well said.
Well said. Yes. Oh, Cartman.
Beefcake. Let's feed him some more, stuff and make him bigger. He'd be bigly huge. It'll be great.
Bigly huge. An island surrounded by water.
Big water. Ocean water.
We have the best water. It's the water that's part of the ocean, and we can see both of them, which makes our country better than yours. We have all the water.
You have to bring the water. They just got so much. Anyways.
America has the best oceans.
The best.
Yeah.
It's our oceans and nobody else's.
That's right.
We even have the Indian Ocean. I mean, Native American Ocean.
He's so stupid. He couldn't point out where that is on the map.
I know where it is on the map. I just don't know where it might be on the globe.
Or the difference.
It's a big difference.
If the Earth is round, why do we have flat maps?
Checkmate! Checkmate!
We're done for. Where's GE when you need him?
Oh, God.
Oh, that's so good.
All right, so I got a couple more things to touch on here. If anyone, for some reason, who is watching the show doesn't know about the Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar being barred from visiting Palestine to see what's going on with the conflict and the protests over there. We do want to touch on that soon. We're not really going to yet because we don't really have the time tonight. But again, we're not ignoring any of these things. One thing that I do want to read real quick is Rashida Tlaib's tweet.
Yeah.
One of the final things that was said during this kerfuffle, I don't know, is I have decided that visiting my grandmother under these oppressive conditions stands against everything I believe in, fighting against racism, oppression, and injustice. And I just wanted to read that real quick to show that I do respect her decision, because I know a lot of people don't, because they're saying, well, she's anti-Semitic and this and that, and I thought you wanted to see your grandmother. Well, yeah, but like if you have to give up your free speech and you're a congresswoman, like represent the American people, so you should give up your free speech and like give in to an occupying regime.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like she's making the right stand, and that has to be really hard because her grandmother, her city is like 90 years old, and this would be the last time that she sees her.
Right.
But she's making the right decision.
Yeah. She's protesting with the memory she could possibly have of the very last time she'd see her grandmother, and I think that is commendable and brave and a sacrifice. What a sacrifice to do the right thing. And F you if you say you are the only democracy in the Middle East, then act like one. Freedom of speech is one of the pillars that holds up a democracy. So you can't say we're the only democracy in the Middle East, but these people aren't allowed to vote because we might not like how they vote.
Bullshit.
Oh, gosh, yeah, that's
bullshit.
Right. No, that's called apartheid. And in 2019, it's not acceptable. And that's why they're fighting back. And unfortunately, it always takes people losing things and
I think
getting hurt.
Acceptable in any way, shape, or form, then okay, maybe I'd grant that to you under some conditions, but them being an ally of the United States and us being the greatest democracy, like, come on, no, you're not an ally if you have an apartheid state. That's just it. And again, like taken from Tulsi Gabbard, that doesn't mean you're quite an enemy, of the United States, but you're definitely not an ally. Like, we don't have common interests. Last two things I'm going to say, and this is just going to leave you with a bunch of questions.
Fantastic.
Even you two, at least on one of these. One, and I know we're going to cover this, David Koch died.
Yep.
David Koch died. So that's news. And last thing I want to say is Lizzie McGuire is making a sequel series.
I'm concerned.
Say what?
More relevant than buying Greenland. Because at least it's something that will happen.
Yeah.
So there's your update on what's going on in the news world.
Yay.
And we'll get you more info on all of that, including Lizzie McGuire if you want it.
Yep. If they want.
Or if I feel like it. You might have to bear with me. Okay. The other thing, the world's lungs are on fire, Christy.
They sure are. It is, like Mel said before we went live, they are a part of a huge ecosystem. This planet is alive. The whole thing is alive. The water depends on the air. It's this huge. It's a circle. It's a circle of life. And if the lungs are on fire, that's a big deal. There's not too much that I've looked into that I want to write about. There is a story that Brazil prompts prayers for Amazon, which is going around. Yeah, it makes my eyes do that. I'm sorry. I think I'm allergic to it. It's this allergic reaction that happens to dumb. So I think that things need to happen. Actions need to happen and not pray if you want. Of course, you can't. People need that. That's fine. But do something. You can't, just say a prayer and go to work. It's still on fire. So a lot of it does have to do with global warming. It does. Because of how hot it is. It's like this big circle that we keep happening. If we keep doing logging, illegal logging, a lot of it is illegal logging. Forests by the hectare are just disappearing from illegal logging. Indigenous people are suffering because that's where they live. The forest is their home. So it's a big deal. I would say pay attention to or just look up the Amazon's on fire and read a couple articles. It's not going to be on fire anytime soon. It looks like it's going to, this is fire season, so it's not abnormal, but it is abnormal that we can see these fires from space.
Wasn't it set on fire on purpose?
Yes.
So
there are many indigenous families. Indigenous people do live in villages and huts.
Were they trying to remove the families to have access?
Trying to remove the families, yes. Yeah. Because they live in a different way, because they have feathers and because headdresses and makeup that we don't have, that whole savage thing makes my stomach turn. We're talking about families who have cell phones and computers who just choose to live the way that they were raised, and we could learn so much from that. So there are women online right now. You can go on to Democracy Now! Has covered it. Many sites are covering mothers who using their cell phones to record the fire of their village behind them that was set on purpose to get them out of there. They've been raped, they've been murdered, they've been disappeared. Bolsonaro, President Bolsonaro, and he's worse than Trump. I'd say I would rather have Trump than him any day.
Yeah. Now, is Bolsonaro the leader that said like the only regret he has?
Yes, he said the only problem with the military dictatorship of the past was that they didn't kill all of the leftists.
There are some organizations you can help. I just decided to kind of do a quick search to see if I can find organizations. Yeah. So let's see. I've pulled up an article on, it's from Business Insider. Here's what you can do to help the burning, ravaged Amazon forests. First, educate yourself. That's important. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Charities that you can donate to. The Amazon Conservation Association is one.
Okay.
So you can Google that. Amazon Conservation Association. There's Amazon Conservation Team. So if you can't remember all of them, just type in Amazon Conservation Charities. Google that, and you should be able to find that. There's Amazon Watch. There's also Rainforest Foundation US. Okay. There's Rainforest Trust. And there's Rainforest Action Network. So if you can't remember any of those, remember Amazon Conservation. Google that.
Down below now.
Oh, awesome. Or Rainforest Foundation, Rainforest Trust, Rainforest Action. So any of these things you can do. It's probably harder to volunteer, but that's always an opportunity, something that you can do. And just be loud about it.
Yes.
Make some noise. So you can do that even. So spend some time talking about that and kind of just raise awareness. So.
Right. I mean, think about the Notre Dame being on fire. The whole world came together, literally, over a building, which I'm for. I think, yes, it should be. That's one thing I would want to see if I went there, of course. Right. So I understand that. But as far as the benefit to the world, the rainforest is not an option to hold on to. The Notre Dame would be a devastating loss, but we survive as a species. So it's important, very important.
Yeah. So donate to some charities if you can.
Yes. Okay.
And
so for this roundup thing, let me tell you how this happened. So I am watching
real quick before you.
Go ahead. Let me mark my little. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I wanted to give a couple numbers real quick for the Amazon rainforesting because I think it's important to know. The Amazon has a lot of fires each year. So the fires aren't like necessarily like a new phenomenon, right? But there's again a few numbers that everyone should know. It says that nearly 36,000 fires began just in like the last month. It's a lot of fires, but again, the Amazon rainforest is larger than Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of fires happen.
Mm-hmm.
with satellite images indicating that more than 9,500 were ignited just in the last week alone.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one I had real quick? Sorry. Oh, okay. Brazil lost 1,330 square miles of forest. That's now that's a lot. And again, I said it's big. We get a lot of fires, but that's a 39% increase compared to last year. So this is a big deal. So if anyone tells you, hey, these fires happen a lot, that's true.
Yes.
Still a 39% increase compared to last year. And I don't know if that's to the month or just so far. I don't know that.
It's from the last fire season. It's up at this time during the last fire season. And the more we lose, the worse the fire season's going to be.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That whole circle thing.
I thought those few numbers were important, especially the 13,000 square miles of forest being lost.
Yes.
And the 39% increase. So please remember that if you bring this up to anyone, if you talk about it. Also, I thought of a fun hashtag while you two girls were talking. Don't just pray about it, say about it.
I love it.
Yeah, that's nice.
I love it.
Get that one on a t-shirt too. All right. Sorry. Thank you. Let's go to Monsanto and Roundup.
Okay. So yeah, the thought process on this was I was being the me that I am. Well, I'll just read some more, and then I'll read some more, and let me write down these questions, and let me look them up, and let me watch this, and let me watch that, and then I'm like, more questions, and talking to my girlfriend about it, and she's like, well, they just had a trial, you know, they wouldn't pay that guy all that money, and I'm like, yes and no, because I couldn't explain it to her, like, because I don't understand it enough to explain it to someone easily, which means I don't understand it. That's what that means.
That's okay.
Right. Well, so then I sat back and like, well, whatever, I guess it's not a big deal. And then I see something on somebody who I love as a family member and friend, blood family member and friend, on their Facebook page about it, saying, you know, that the government should step in and stop them. They shouldn't be able to poison anybody they want. And I thought, no, I've got to. And I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I don't know. All of a sudden I thought, well, duh, ask somebody who does know. Like, I don't have to try to figure this out. There are people that actually understand this. Scientist Mel understands this stuff. And it was wonderful because immediately you were like, yes. So that made me feel better. And then you have an amazing article on it too, which I read out loud to my girlfriend, and that helped her go, you're right. But one of the parts that I had that really, and I can't find any facts to back it up, so I had to let it go, was that farmers in third world countries were being given Roundup seeds, Roundup crops, and their cattle were dying, and they were getting sick themselves. Now, this was from about 2-3 years ago. Tons of articles like this. I can still find them, but at that time, I didn't think to look up, well, what sources do you have for this?
Is that Al Jazeera?
No, it wasn't. I actually went back to try to find a couple of them that I had seen, and I found new ones that said the same thing. But I noticed this time, there's no sources. It's just a video that was made very well, very good production, where they go to these places and talk to these farmers who lost their wife because she died of cancers that happened because of this. All of their cattle died, their goats died. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this is along the lines of the stuff that I saw. Let me find where they got their information. I can't. There are no sources. So then the new me that is like, okay, well, you have to back it up, said, okay, well, I have to let that go. So the other questions that I have are now more adult and from a more understanding point.
There are certain types of cancers that are associated with certain pesticides, those organochlorines, those OC pesticides. So that may be what they're talking about, but that's not the glyphosate, which is the Roundup. So what a lot of the general population likes to do is put all of those particular chemicals in the same type of bubble.
Okay.
And they're not. So the organochlorines, those OC pesticides, there's a lot of information about that, particularly associated with breast cancer and prostate cancer. So those are extremely highly regulated and they're not really used anymore. So any hormone-related type of cancers are associated with that pesticide. So that would make sense. And so they don't really use those anymore. The Roundup, or called glyphosate, is particularly useful because it doesn't affect the actual crop.
Right.
It affects the stuff around it. So you have crops that are resistant to that particular pesticide and weed killer, or whatever. It's herbicide, not a pesticide, but herbicide. And so it kills all the other weeds, but it doesn't harm the actual food crop. And so, but there are some, pesticides and that are associated with cancer. So a lot of times the general population kind of mixes those two. You have the things that kill the bugs and the things that kill the other plants. If it kills the bugs, you run more risk because they're animal. We're animals. Plants, they're not really gonna hurt us like a pesticide might. So what were your questions that you had for like the Roundup stuff?
For the Roundup stuff, it was more of, how do we combat this type of jury trial when it comes to science? Because for me, a hairstylist in Florida who is science curious, who loves to learn, I just got more misinformation. I got professionals at the top of their whatever in this trial saying, I have all this research here that says that this is true. Mm-hmm. And then we have also professionals that are at the top of their whatever on the other side saying that they have all this research showing that what they're saying isn't true. And for a layperson, you're going, well, then what's the point? Because how am I supposed to know? And I'm sure I'm not the only one. When I have my favorite left news sites, and I'm not talking about MSNBC, I'm real leftist people that I love to listen to, and they have a lot to say, and I respect them, are wrong on this. They have it wrong. They are going out saying Roundup causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, when what I read, I couldn't find anything that says that.
It doesn't. Okay, so I was really upset for similar reasons, because when the first case came out back in 2018, so the first verdict came out, right, where this guy had gotten all this money, and he was awarded damages because the jury decided that the Roundup played a role in his manifestation of cancer. And the issue that I had was how is this going to affect the general population? And then a second verdict came out. Same thing, because now there's a precedent. So I did an episode of my show This Week in BS with Nate Brody, and Dragnaut was on there, and Artemis Brain Sample, who works with Roundup. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I watched it twice.
Nate's really good about breaking down the law associated with that. So what I needed to understand was, how did this get to a jury?
Right.
How did it get there? And it's pretty interesting because you watched it. Nate's like, I'm taking this to my classroom, because he's like, because this has very weak science in support of that. And the judge even says that.
Right.
Even
That's so confusing to someone like me.
The thing that happened, I don't know if you followed like the talcum powder thing with like Johnson and Johnson with talcum powder. She was able, the woman who developed ovarian cancer they were able to sway the jury into giving her money because they felt that the addition of the talcum powder was enough to cause her cancer. There was not enough definitive science to prove that it didn't. And so what I learned from Nate, and right now there's no science at all that shows that interaction with glyphosate on a human level. There was a huge study that was done on farmers that regularly use, I think it was
89,000 farms.
89,000, I think people. I think that was people, 89,000 people. Yeah. I think it was people. But it's in that article that I wrote. I cite all of my sources in hyperlinks. So you can click on them.
I did. I did. I like that there are 89,000 cases that are the case.
Oh, families. It was 89,000 families.
Okay. I don't know why I said farms, but yeah, they work on farms, right?
Yeah. So 89,000 families that work with glyphosate, not a single link between them and cancer.
And it's still going on.
And it's regularly updated. So we've had this going on for 4 years. There's still no link. So what Nate explained was essentially with judges, they like to err on the side of the consumer. And then what they do is they put it to the trial. And so essentially it comes down to which lawyer and which scientist is more compelling in this particular case. And since it's already happened, but see, the thing is, in my particular stance, is that the majority of the U.S. is scientifically illiterate.
Yeah.
So they do rely heavily on these experts. Well, you've got experts saying, well, it manifests in mice. If we go and inject all of this massive amount of glyphosate into this mouse, they develop tumors. Well, nobody's injecting glyphosate into their bodies.
I hope not.
No.
Don't do it, people.
Should I stop?
Probably should. Not how you're supposed to use that product. So, but then you think about dosage. The huge amount that they're injecting to the mouse, you translate that to a human. There's no way they'd be exposed to that huge amount in a normal type of application type of setting, even if it's on a job. So all the plaintiff had to do, and this is where the burden of the plaintiff's case lies, is to prove that just the addition of the glyphosate was enough to tip the scales over for cancer to manifest. He could have had the gene. He could have, walked out in the sun every day and had the sun exposure. That could have been a factor. They only had to prove that the addition of this chemical was enough to tip the scales over for the manifestation of the cancer, even though it may not necessarily have caused the cancer, but that's what they had to prove. And they managed to convince a jury of that twice now.
Yep. Well, for a lot of money.
Yes. And so now Monsanto is going to have to definitively prove beyond all of these other studies at this point that there is no exact link between glyphosate and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a very common cancer. 1 in 47 people get it. Yeah. So,
yeah. A good friend of mine got that diagnosis when she was 23 years old, and I was 25, and watched her go through her, with a port in her chest and her hair falling out at a young age. She's recovered. She's doing just fine as far as I know. I haven't talked to her in a few years. So it's not everybody, I'm sure. I'm about to be 43 next month. At my age, knows somebody who's had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It is very common. One of the things that I did look for was, well, you just explained to me they didn't have to make that connection. But to me, I thought, well, which mouse had it? Like, because how can you say that it's this one if that's not the cancers they got weren't even that cancer? They were totally different cancers.
Totally different cancers.
So that
and mouse models don't always translate to human models either.
Right. No, they're different. The metabolized part is different, and something.
Yeah, metabolism is different. Yeah, and the fact that they're injecting the mice with it and not spraying them down. Right. You know, so even the kinetics, which you call the pharmacokinetics, if you eat something, it processes differently in your body than if you inject it. Right. So
poison and venom, right?
Yes, poison and venom. Yeah.
Well, I know here in Tampa, there are strict rules on Roundup, and there have been for decades, as far as I know. I'm a huge green thumb. I have Mac knows. I'm growing pineapples and avocados and bananas, and I love growing flowers. I have orchids. I love plants.
She's a little bit of a tree hugger.
Yes, I am a huge tree hugger.
Just a little bit.
Literally, even when they're little, I hug them like this. I just don't hug the cactuses because I've learned my lesson.
That's the one I hug.
That's the one Mac hugs, right?
Hashtag cactuses need love also.
They hashtag cactuses lives matter.
Cactus lives matter. I like that.
Cactus lives matter. Well, half of the year during rainy season, hurricane season, here in this zip code, I cannot buy Roundup.
Huh.
It's not sold. I could go about 5 miles down the road to a different Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, and buy it because I'm in a different area code. Because it's such a rainy area and we're below sea level, the water runoff.
Mm. Wow.
So about 10 years ago, when a lot of this stuff was becoming conspiracy theories, Monsanto and the seeds, when I went to go buy it and it wasn't there, and plant food even, certain plant foods aren't available because of the runoff. So I started thinking, well, what's in it? And that's where I first started getting confused. And so this has not been like a recent thing. This is a decade and a half thing of trying to find. And like I said, I love researching and finding. This is just not a topic that's easy. I don't even know how anybody could go about making it easier for people who they don't want to know people's opinions. They just want to know the facts of this. Like the who, what, when, and where, and how do we know it's true? That's it.
That's the thing. There is no evidence to show that a link between cancer and glyphosate is just not there. But, you know, the burden of proof in a trial is vastly different than the burden of proof in science.
Right. And I like what Nate had said, that essentially this was, I'm pretty sure it was Nate. It's not super fresh in my mind, but in that stream that you did, where he said that essentially this trial was which lawyer had the better argument, which lawyer was better.
That's how it usually goes.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
This one set a precedent. I'm sure there are millions of Americans that are trying to sue this because some people think that they can get rich off of schemes. And I'm sure the bad ones do sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 1,000 cases at least.
Yes. I saw the caseload is big for it. And this brings out the worst lawyers, the worst kind that want to just jump on the bag of money bandwagon. And I had an idea that some of the, what's his name? John Oliver does fun things where he'll buy a web domain that's very similar in name to a conservative one, just so people can kind of accidentally go there. I thought of that for this topic. I like that a lot. What's his name? He does all the ex Jehovah's Witness. We had him. Oh, why can't I think of his name? Mac knows. Lloyd Evans. Okay. He also has the jwsurvey.com, which it's, if you're looking up jw.com, it comes up. It's the second one there. I like that idea. And I don't know if we could do some sort of, and this is just me smoking a joint and having all these ideas pretty much is what happened. So I thought, I wonder if we could like buy a GoDaddy.com domain that has to do with glyphosate.com or round. I don't know. And just put your brains in it. Just like upload Mel's brains to it so that when people look, when they Google this, it would be the first thing to pop up. I just, maybe it's not a big deal. I think it's huge. I think that this precedent of a jury trial over science in a country where 27% of the polled community, the community that was polled, so I really don't know the polling data on that, how many, who they were, what ages, but 27% think the sun goes around the earth.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. You can look up, it's from the National Science Foundation. They look you can, I think the 2018 numbers have come in. They do it every 2 years, I believe, 2 to 3 years. They'll go and poll it's usually at least 1,000 people.
Okay, that's still too high. Come on.
But they also get data in from other countries, so you can compare and contrast.
Yes, that's how it should be.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. So the National Science Foundation, science indicators. You can look at the literacy study, any of those things. It's pretty. Yes, but see, now you understand my plight.
No,
how I feel often.
And all the thumbnails, the headlines, when this jury gave their ruling, were everywhere. And I'm thinking, I love that site. I don't know if they're right. This is before I, really started to sit down and read. It's just when this jury, this is all recent. So, and then another site, and then another site, and then sites that I not only love and respect, I still love and respect. I just think that they got this one wrong. And so that's huge to me. I want to make all of them go, no, we've got to be more skeptical. We've got to look into it.
Right. And
is I don't think people understand. I didn't understand how of a lifesaver in just our country this glyphosate has been.
Right.
And just feeding our country.
Yeah.
It has provided that.
I mean, GMOs are really, really important for feeding our own people and even for export. I think the biggest thing we have to deal with is how people equate trials to the science. And
right.
That's not the case. And we also have the media to blame for a lot of things, because a lot of people get their education from the media. And science journalists aren't really scientists. And so, they'll say, okay, drinking a couple glasses of wine burns is just like going to the gym. I'm like, that's not what it says at all. There are similar compounds, but don't go home and drink a bottle of wine and say, it's like I spent an hour in the gym. More wine, more time in the gym. That's all. No, it's just not. But that's how they push that. But there's also a chocolate study. So there's a chocolate study by the American Heart Association, funded by Nestle, to show that there's antioxidants that can contribute and lower your risk of heart attack. Does that mean go out and eat 30 candy bars? No. They were just
it sounds like it does mean that.
Yeah.
I just want to go on record real quick. If there is a chocolate study, I volunteer all of this.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yes, as tribute, yes.
I will eat all the chocolate.
Facial, skincare, eating, it doesn't matter. I'm down over the chocolate.
We have an addict.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have like 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Sure.
And it's the second one is related. The first one is that a Hydra glass you're drinking from?
Hydra.
Yeah. Got that. Okay. 2. 2 is aspartame.
Yes.
Aspartame.
That was talked about so goddamn much. And when you talked about the chocolate thing, and when you talked about lab rat studies, it extra reminded me, because this is how I usually explain it to people, and I always want to make sure I'm right, because it doesn't matter how many times I look it up, I always feel uncomfortable giving my opinion on aspartame. I think it's safe. I think it's it's an artificial sweetener. I read that it can or does cause cancer in rats. But the way that I explain it to people, I'm like, well, yeah. Also, dogs are allergic to chocolate. It reminds me of it. But that doesn't mean we stay away from chocolate, does it? People are like, well, no. I'm like, right. So I feel like that's the easiest way to like explain it to a layman, of which I am. But yeah, that's my best explanation. Is that close enough to continue to say?
I mean, it's a matter of dosage. Anything will kill you.
Right.
It's dosage.
Yeah.
Aspartame, I tend to avoid. I tend to go with Splenda. That's just me. The reason why I go with Splenda, it's the same chemical formula as sugar. It just has a chlorine added to it, and it's a different shape of molecule. So what that means is it's actually sweeter than sugar because it fires off multiple receptors on your tongue. So when you taste it, you taste multiple, if I don't, so there's multiple.
Like sugar on crack cocaine? Sorry.
Well, how you taste your a sugar molecule will kind of interact with one of your taste receptors. Okay. In like maybe one or two places. So like with a Splenda molecule, which is called sucralose, it's a sugar, but the shape of the molecule is not processed by the enzymes in our body. But it can attach to multiple tongue, taste receptors. So it tastes sweeter because it's firing off more of those receptors. Now, because it doesn't fit in the enzymes that break down the sugar, it has no calorie value and you just pass it. Aspartame, I don't have any science to link the two, but I know Alzheimer's runs in my family. Right. Aspartame has what you call there's an amino acid called phenylalanine.
Yeah.
So certain people whose bodies don't break down phenylalanine, it will deposit those into their brain. It will actually, the overload of phenylalanine, since their body doesn't break it down, it'll just store it in their brain, which contributes to all kinds of brain things. Alzheimer's runs in my family. I know the two aren't particularly linked. I know there's lots of brain things that run in my family. So because I know my family history, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't take in a whole lot of the NutraSweet. Keep that on the downside of intake. Maybe don't drink 20 Diet Cokes today. Unless it's the Splenda. That seems to be, but Splenda's weird for my mom. It makes like her left leg go numb. So, I mean, it's weird. It does. Like her left leg. Yeah. Every time she has Splenda, her left leg goes numb. So I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So, just know your family
Cherry
history.
Coke Zero fanatic. Cherry Coke Zero is the best soda that has ever, all hail Cherry Coke Zero. It is delicious. It's the only soda that I crave, that I ask for. I just love it.
That's okay. But that's people are like, well, what's okay? What's not okay? What should I do? I'm like, you need to know your family history. You need to know your own body.
Right.
And you need to just reduce your risks accordingly. So, it's going to be different for every person, and that's okay. So,
Yeah.
Well, I was raised in a very, especially when we got to Florida, my mom did personal training. She did nutritional for the whole week for each client, what they would be eating. So very aware of these things. But also we went to a doctor that was called With Hands Only. And when
Yes.
I had a strep throat, he adjusted my jaw.
Wow.
Still had a strep throat.
Huh.
I had lots of supplements to take when I would get sick. I had lots of ear infections and strep throat. Always ear, nose, and throat as a kid growing up. Always, always, always. They wanted to put in my ears. They probably still should. I always itching my ears. Just got insurance, real good insurance recently, so maybe something I'll do. But according to him, and according to what I took in as knowledge up until about 3 or 4 years ago, just recently, 3 or 4 years ago, I still thought that aluminum in deodorant would make me sick. So in my mind, it was better to be stinky than it was to cause myself to have cancer. Now, I don't have any reason. There was a point a year or two ago, 3 years ago, reading into everything that I could find from a skeptic's point of view had me, made me let go of many things. That included aspartame included, but the Roundup was still one that I held on to. Now, I still hear from people often. Just last week, I heard from somebody that lives in this apartment complex that you shouldn't use any deodorant that has aluminum in it because she named off a whole bunch of things. Some of them were in Spanish because she speaks in Spanglish to me.
Yeah.
So,
it's just, it's ultimately how you live your life. It's just reducing your risk. And, heart attack, stroke, arthritis, all that runs in my family. So if I were to increase my weight, that increases my risk.
Right.
So it's just, you can only do the best you can, and it's highly individual. This is why when people are like, well, what should my healthy weight be? Or people who are people of size, that's not healthy. I'm like, I don't know their medical history.
Right.
That might be the only risk that they have, but they may have excellent blood pressure. They may have fantastic heart rate. They may have wonderful other things going. Then maybe they don't smoke or drink. I don't know. So I'm not going to sit there and shame a person for their personal choices.
Well, and I personally like thick thighs, so there's that.
There you go.
Put that out there.
It's about talking to your doctor, understanding your family history, and choosing which risks you want to reduce. What risks are you willing to take? I mean, it's just that. I mean, but that just requires you to be very self-aware, and it makes me nuts, especially with the body shaming. I'm like, come on, guys, you don't know, you're not their doctor.
Same. No. Yeah, don't say mean things about the outside of anyone ever.
Yeah, for all you know, man, there are people that are HIV resistant.
Yes.
That person of size may never ever be infected by HIV. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know. I just read all those studies about 2 months ago in Africa. They have whole villages of women who were sex workers.
Wow.
And just never, their mother had it. They were born without it.
There's the presence of a particular gene. And what happens is it lacks the receptor for HIV to attach to the T cells.
Right. We're watching evolution.
Yeah. So, I mean,
amazing.
What's interesting is it was first found over in Europe, in ancestors of the descendants of ancestors who survived the bubonic plague. They have that particular gene.
Wow.
Which is cool. I mean, and we found this out from a blood transfusion from a person who donated, not blood transfusion, bone marrow transfusion. there was a person who had HIV infection in addition to leukemia. Leukemia that was onset from, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So the immune system was really low, because that's what happens. Your immune system tends to take out cancer cells.
Right.
So he started to develop cancer. So a bone marrow transplant person, they transplanted bone marrow into this HIV patient. HIV was completely just eradicated.
Amazing.
He still had cancer.
Right.
Sad, but that's how they found out that people are immune, or at least reduce the chance of being infected based on the genes that they have. And so, so it's easy to find them now.
Yes.
Which is amazing. So
women in these villages in Africa say that it's God, that they prayed and that God took it away. And I think, great, think whatever you want. Let's get some scientists in there.
Right. Also, I don't think Trump has a lot of power over there.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, wrong God. Wrong.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the king of the Jews. That's different.
No. When is he getting crucified?
Right?
And is he going to come back from the dead? Because that would be really interesting.
Maybe we should crucify him and wait for 3 days.
Oh.
I think.
Let's be careful of that. I don't want anyone saying
I don't advocate for any violence. I'm completely being.
I don't either. But history repeats itself and often. So if he's going to be Jesus,
right.
I mean, isn't that what happened last
time? He's both. He's
Well, I mean, if we're going to science the crap out of this, man, Jesus was crucified and brought back, and he came back to life after 3 days. If we're going to test this hypothesis that Donald Trump is Jesus.
Yeah, it's got to be repeated.
Repeatable experiment, guys.
Exactly. We're only being,
We're joking, of course. I realize I'm probably already on an FBI watch list. I have no interest in crucifying Donald Trump. Let me just say that right now.
Gosh.
I'm just saying his words are very stupid.
He's got the best words.
His best word. I've heard toddlers that have had better words.
Though.
My toddler has better words.
He's I can't.
Okay,
I have a question that is completely all gonna have to come from you, Mel. What is oral audacity?
Oral audacity. That's my show I have on Sundays. I don't have one this Sunday because Doc is indisposed. He has a prior engagement. But Doc Savage, gosh, that's probably my favorite show right now. Even though I have my Saturday science and stuff like that, which is always fun. That's always the viewer generated topics.
Yes, it is fun.
But oral audacity, that came out of a mispronunciation of audacity by our favorite troll, G-Man.
Oh.
So, Gary, if you're watching, thanks so much. You're the inspiration for a lot of stupid things we say.
A special fucker, that one.
So he doesn't say audacity, he says audacity. And so Doc and I, when we were thinking up the show, I was like, should we call it the audacity? He goes, no. G-Man will think that that's a tribute to him. I'm like, you're right. So we call it the oral audacity because we have the audacity and we speak it. So
I love it.
It's essentially a show where smart people riff on science. If you're not familiar with Doc Savage, he's a Scot.
Okay.
Really cute.
I won't tell him.
Don't tell him. I haven't told him either. Yes, I have. Anyway, so he's a Scotsman. He's also a scientist. He works in immunotherapy. So currently he runs a lab where they're working on new cancer therapies using your immune system. It's really awesome. He helped develop the HPV vaccine.
Nice.
So we basically have this comedic show where we just rip apart bad science, but it's also educational, and it's a bit sweary sometimes.
Yeah.
I normally swear on my channel.
I don't like fucking cussers, so.
Yeah. So we swear a bit there. Like last Sunday, we had Dr. LEAH Torres on, who's known.
Nice. Make sure I watch that one tonight.
She's awesome. She's known as the abortion doctor, but she's a reproductive rights activist, in addition to an OBGYN. And so we had her on the show. And she's been on the show before with Nate Brody, actually, where we were talking about the abortion ban and that sort of thing. And so we talked a lot about myths that are associated with the magical, mystical vagina that nobody seems to understand for some reason.
The naughty.
You know, we talked about yoni pearls and steaming vaginas and all kinds of stuff.
All I hear is Mac.
and then Doc sitting there goes, I have testicles. But it's like he's amongst.
You sure do, honey.
It's like, but it was a good show. In the previous week we talked about Goop. We've had Aaron Raw on the show, PZ Myers.
I'm excited.
Cool. It was a lot of fun. Hannibal and Monty. We have a little segment where we talk about stupid things people say on the internet, where we take 30 seconds of this song called Audacity, which is G-Man saying lots of stupid things to a really sick by Hannibal. And Hannibal and Monty put that together, which was amazing.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. It's just a really fun show. Our first episode, we destroyed Deepak Chopra. It was amazing.
Oh, that's the one I'm starting with. That's the one, because
it was great.
I have issues with him. I just do.
He has such bad science, but people are like, well, he gets published. So we take a couple of his papers and oh God, that's some of the funniest stuff I've ever read. And it's so bad, but that's what's funny. A lot of the general population don't understand that just because it's been published doesn't mean it's good.
Right.
And we talk about that a bit with the woman, Dr. LEAH Torres. There was an article that was published in a peer-reviewed journal out of Italy, where Italian doctors were trying to rate how sexy women were if they had endometriosis and if they didn't have endometriosis. Yeah, that was the thing that was published. And so having Dr. Torres on there, who was just like, what the heck is this? And so
right.
That was kind of fun.
You know what that just made my mind go to? I was reading while I was doing research for my American 20th century history. I did a whole 20th century. I covered the 20th century from 1900 to 2000. And it took me 15 weeks. But one of the things that I read while researching that was ads for secretaries in the paper. Must be single, must be good looking, must put her makeup on, they might as well just been under the headline sexist ass ads. Like, it was just horrible. I can't believe they were judging women by their looks. But that's now. Yeah. I'm talking about ads from the 60s, but 60s, 40s, 50s.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
The last ad that I could read, the last date on that was 64, 65, where must be good looking, must be single to be a secretary at an office. Like, I think I threw up reading them. It's time I didn't live in.
I noticed a question from the chat from Stephen about the efficacy and safety of HPV vaccines. They are absolutely safe. We will be talking on September 8th.
Okay.
Jeff Holiday will be on our show. I don't
know him.
He's great. So we finally got him nailed down. Jeff Holiday will be on September 8th. Since Doc helped generate the HPV vaccine, he has a lot of information. So if you want to hop over on there, we stream 3 p.m. Central and usually go for about 2 hours. 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, or Central Daylight Time, I guess is where we are now. And my channel is youtube.com/Scientist Mel. For Audacity is a comedy show, but it's just meant to be a lot of fun, and you'll learn a lot of stuff. It's pretty lighthearted. I have animated characters that can talk, and you can play along with us. And we have different challenges, you know. So Karen, my basic white girl, shows up, and let me see. I'll show you an example of Karen.
Yes, please do.
So she shows up. Doc, she has a thing for Doc. And Doc is just not having it. He has turned Karen down so many times. And so it's like, I feel really bad for her. And I was like, Doc, you want me to fire her? And he goes, she's not real, Mel. It's okay. And I'm like, okay. So here's an example.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Stumped the whole time, but you totally weren't. You know, you got some things right, so I'm going to give you each a gold Karen star. So, all of that, I was really hoping to, hook up to the time or something, because, I hadn't been returning my calls and everything. But maybe you don't like me, but anyway, so always an email. Anyway, bye.
Yeah, basic micro, I love it.
That's brilliant.
Oh my goodness. So yeah.
Learning
all right, awesome guys.
Learning could be fun. I'm very excited. I'm starting with the choking
on Chopra.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm already in my watch next. And I do love your channel. I enjoy every time I see you anywhere. I'm like, yes. I love a strong, smart female. That might be sexist of me, but I'll own it. I advocate for that every chance I get. I'm a mother of 2 daughters. What can I
like strong females. I like strong males.
Of course.
Of
course.
Level playing field. Let's all be strong and wonderful together.
And empathetic. Yes.
Feelings matter.
Yourself in their shoes, and those are your options that they have.
Yeah.
How would you handle them? That's the future I want to live in, and I think that your brain is a big part of that. So.
Aw, well, thank you. I have to say, Oral Dassy is probably one of my favorite shows that I do right now. It's lighthearted. We make fun of bad science, and you learn how to see what we see. Doc has got like 20 years in industry. Yes. And so between the two of us, he'll say something and they're like, okay, this is what he's talking about. And so we'll just kind of break it up. It was great. And thank you, Stephen, for subscribing to the channel. And Fairy, thank you.
I have the question that he asked, where could you find the safety and effectiveness of the HPV vaccine? Yeah. That is a good question. And I'm excited that you're going to talk on September 8th. I'm going to put that on my calendar. Yep. My youngest daughter just had her first dose of it. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry. When she was 11, she had her first. She had a reaction, and they didn't know what it was so they just told her, don't have that again. It's a whole new reformula. Everything's new. Of course, everything gets updated all the time. This last one, she said no problems with. None.
Here's the thing. So a little bit of information on this. The CDC and the FDA have approved for people up to the age of 45 to be able to get the vaccine. And this is what they find. This comes from Doc. When he was working on it, he found that even if you've been exposed to certain cancer-causing strains of HPV, to get the vaccine shows a greater immune response than if you actually have had the particular virus. Because for whatever reason, when you have the virus, sometimes you don't build up enough antibodies to take it out. Okay. So if you get the vaccine, your immune system has a better response to the vaccine to where you build up those antibodies. So even if you've had one of the cancer-causing strains of HPV, if you get the vaccine, it actually builds up your immunity better than if you were just being exposed to the live vaccine. So they have data on that.
Okay, great. Well, I'm 42, and I will be looking into that. I've never even been offered. No one's even offered it to me.
You need to be careful because not all insurance companies have gotten on board with that yet.
Okay.
So check with your insurance company.
Good look and how. Yes, I will.
Yes.
I think that's smart. This whole trying to understand the facts about things, vaccines is another one, I'm sure.
Yes.
Is big. I'm sure you've had to deal with misinformation. That's
yes.
No, but there's so much misinformation out there that it's detrimental to the health of this nation. And,
yes.
We're seeing that with measles.
When they talk about chemicals being in vaccines, there's toxic chemicals, and then there's just the kind that
everything's a chemical.
Everything's a chemical.
It's made out of chemicals. When I take a sip of this water, I'm sipping chemicals. My hair's made out of chemicals. So
yes,
everything. When I go, I just swallowed a whole bunch of chemicals. Like I don't.
Grace Skeptic, you've been so quiet.
I'm just listening. Also, like, once Christy takes the conversation, I just let her take the conversation.
You gotta get duct tape and put it over my mouth.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's good. No, it's not good. I think we need to wrap up soon, though.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was gonna say though, I think it's important to point out that a lot of people, especially millennials and anyone give or take 10 years, they're very, very interested in keeping themselves healthy, right?
Yes.
Everyone really wants to be in better shape right now. They want to eat healthier, and they want to lower their risk of cancer and diseases, right? So that's wonderful. The issue we're still having, though, as we talk about a lot in this entire community, is we need to stay skeptical. We need to learn how to look at peer-reviewed journals when we're talking about science. We need to work on the education system in general. So I just want to point that out, that it's wonderful that we want to be healthy. It's wonderful that when we hear something is causing cancer, we want to shout it from the rooftops to keep people healthy. But we need to make sure it's factual. We need to fact check, and it's super duper important. That being said, I think I have two fun questions for you real quick, Scientist Mel. One, would you still use Roundup? And two, how often would you drink a Diet Pepsi?
I would still use Roundup. If you follow the directions, you're absolutely fine. If you inject it or drink it or something like that, then you're not following the manufacturer's guidelines, and that's very, very bad. Don't shampoo your hair with it. Right. Don't pour it in your eyeballs. Don't use it as an enema. That's a very bad idea.
Okay.
You'd be surprised what people put in their butt. Don't put Roundup in your butt. There's no weeds there. Okay?
I mean, I hope not. But
yes. Otherwise,
just to be clear, you're just talking about the Roundup, right?
Talking about
Diet Pepsi, all that's fine.
Totally shoot Diet Pepsi up your butt. No, don't do that either.
If you videotape it.
Put it on YouTube.
Send it directly to Christy.
Send it directly to me. I will peer review it.
She'll forward it to Jackass 17.
Yes. We'll just start a new one.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So just, Diet Pepsi, everything in moderation, if you have any brain issues or any issues breaking down certain amino acids, you might want to revisit that, because at the back of any Diet Pepsi can, it says contains phenylalanine. So there are some people who can't break that particular amino acid down. So just, everything in moderation. That's kind of what you need to to live by. Don't drink 2 bottles of wine and think that's the same as 2 hours in the gym. That's not how that works at all. Also, there's a website, and I mentioned that in the latest Oral Audacity. I think it's called PeerPub. I believe it's called PeerPub. It's it's a website that's run out of California, and the sole purpose of the site is to peer review already published papers. So you can go and look and see what other scientists have to say about a particular paper, and they break it down for you. The sample size is crap. How do you know it's not this? So you can actually see the notes of other scientists. And that's where I found the How Sexy is a Woman with Endometriosis article was just on that. And they're like, this is crap, and I'll tell you why. And I'm like, I love this website.
What's it called again? PeerPub?
I think it's called PeerPub or PubPeer, one of the two. Okay. Just type that in, and it should take you right to it.
Right up my alley. I read those bullshit, the wine, the gym, the chalk. Okay. I was holding my dog, I was hugging my dog, and had my phone up and reading one of these scientists say, and it was, hugging your dog may be bad for him. As I'm hugging my dog, and I didn't stop. I looked down at him and was like, what? He loves this. Are you kidding me? Even if he didn't, he loves it. No, he loves it. I'm going to hug him and squeeze him and call him George.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. That one cracked me up because I happened to be hugging my dog. And
oh, gosh. How dare you love on your pets?
They said that it dogs don't like it because they feel like they can't move, that all of this anecdotal, like, my personal dog doesn't like this stories. It had no research behind it. It had nothing behind it. It was just another one of those.
Is an opinion
9
piece.
10 o'clock news at night, when right before they go to commercials. When we come back, research says, scientists say, that kind of dumb.
Yeah. And I mean, like, as many people do, they use the term scientist loosely.
I think there's such a fear of science in this country. There is huge fear that there's the maniacal scientist, cooking up a brew to kill everybody, like, secretly. And
oh gosh.
Yeah. I don't think that I've never met someone that really is into science, whether it's just to be a communicator as a hobby or their career, that got into any of it because they wanted to do or be bad. I'm not saying that isn't. There are people.
No. Some people think I'm a supervillain. It depends on who you ask.
A villain to what?
I don't even know, man. I'm like,
at least you're super.
To a brush? I'm sure you've ruined a few brushes.
I just break them right. Just.
You're a brush terrorist. I knew it.
But I'm a creator of tribbles, because after I brush my hair, it's like this giant new creature has been formed in my hairbrush. It's fantastic.
Just name them. Sell them online.
This one is George. This one is Carl. This one is Shelly.
Christmas ornaments. Hang little bows from them. Every Trump getting a hairball.
This one's named Trump, but it's a really ugly one. And it's very small.
Yes, I love it. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I know. So good. I'm so glad you came tonight.
This is fun.
Also, I'm not looking forward to the other trials that are coming. I feel like we have more of these that are coming. Many.
Probably.
And it's going to consolidate the consensus.
Well, I mentioned before about the Johnson & Johnson talcum powder.
Yeah, I have that right here.
Finally had a study that came out that definitively shows that talcum powder does not cause ovarian cancer. So that's when I say that this puts like fire under Monsanto.
Okay.
They're going to push a lot of the research into the direction of to show glyphosate definitively does not cause this cancer.
I look forward to Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what they're going to have to do in order to appease the courts at this point.
Right.
The people who have been awarded money, I wonder if they'll have to pay it back.
No, they won't. Once it's done, it's done. So,
Wow.
yeah. That's why everybody's trying to get in before they get that science out.
Yep. It is. It is exactly that.
Well, put it on your calendars, everyone. September 8th.
September 8th. I will be in that chat. It's on.
Oh, it'll be fun. It'll be so fun.
My devices. My alarm will go off to let me know. So, yeah.
If you've not seen Doc Savage in action, he's absolutely hilarious, and I adore him. He's I just he's great. He's awesome.
I'll make sure I catch my own. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll have Jeff Holiday on the 8th. September 1st, we return with Michael from PvP. That's the Psychic Vampires podcast. Doc appears on that channel. That's a heck of a watch. They go and dig down and find some very interesting people on the internet, including ones that drink their own pee. And they do it. They show the video, and I'm just like, oh, it's like an endurance test.
On the Secular show.
Do what?
I said, didn't they have that guy on the non-sex show?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe, but they show a lot of those types of videos and stuff, and so Doc's on the Psychic Vampires podcast. So Michael from that show will be on the 1st. Jeff Holiday's on the 8th, and then the following week I have Dr. Stephen Hobbs, who's a biology educator out of Texas. He was on one of my episodes of This Week in BS where we kind of break down the bad science of PETA. So he'll be back on. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Cool. This is for Peter.
It's a doggo. Doggo.
What are you doing? Peter's got a dog that is like 20 times his size, but the same exact marking.
Yeah.
And they sleep the same. So there's a picture of Bean sleeping, and he does that. So sorry. No one's here. Nobody.
He is protecting you from the cat across the street. That evil. Come
here.
You got serious.
Yeah, I did.
All right, we have hit the hour and a half mark.
Yep.
So.
We did a great job.
Yay!
Yay! Gold star, as the basic white girl said.
3 gold Karen stars. You guys are so awesome. I'm so proud of you for like all of the wonderful stuff you've done today.
You know, I needed some gold stars, so
you do.
I'm gonna take those. I'm gonna take those to bed with me.
You should. You should. Gold stars.
Thank you so much for coming on. This is wonderful. We're both very big fans of the work you do and how you communicate that work that you do, because you're wonderful.
And silly.
You're an extraordinary atheist humanist, and we love you. So
yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. This was great. I'm so glad I got to be here.
Yes, I am so glad that you came. We just your brain is an addition to any channel, especially that one.
Yes. Come back anytime.
Yeah. Brainy and silly, like to me, there's nothing better than brainy and silly. Brainy is great, and I love that. But if you have silly too, there's like no need for improvement in your personality. Silly's the best. Yeah. And I think she froze on us.
Yeah.
Or on me.
Yes.
That's
all right, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful, lovely weekend. We love you. And Christy, close us out.
I will. Stay humanist, for God's sake.
Good night.